Right now, somewhere near you, a child is bouncing a ball against a wall, over and over. No reason, no score, no one keeping track. They think the feeling is theirs. They think they invented it. But they didn't. That exact pull, the urge to chase, to hide, to pretend, was running in the first children who ever lived. It is older than every team and every trophy you have ever cheered for. And it is still running in you. You just stopped noticing. Before there were rules, before there were teams, children played, and almost none of it survived. Play leaves no fossil. A game made of running and laughing, and a stick in the dirt vanishes the moment the children grow up. So most of what the first humans played is just gone. Lost the way a song is lost when the last person who knew it dies. But not all of it. Some games were carved into stone, and some were buried in tombs. One of them is roughly 4,600 years old, and you could still sit down and play it tonight. Hold that number for a second. The oldest game still playable today is older than most written languages on Earth, and the story of how children filled their days before any of that existed starts somewhere stranger than a playground. So picture the actual childhood. Not a schoolhouse, not a field with painted lines, just a small band. Maybe 25 or 30 people, almost all of them related to you. And the children move in a pack, and the pack is never one age. A 4-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a near-grown teenager all play in the same group. Because in a band that small, there is no one else to play with. In 2009, the psychologist Peter Gray, working at Boston College, pulled together decades of fieldwork on hunter-gatherer childhood, and what he found was that these children played on their own, from waking until dark. No adult started the game. No adult ended it. They chased. They wrestled. They built tiny copies of the tools the grown-ups used. Play wasn't a break from learning. It was the only school there ever was, and the playing was never random. Watch any band society child, and you see the same thing. They copy the adults. A boy too small to hunt stalks, grasshoppers with a tiny bow. A girl digs in the dirt beside her mother, learning the soil with her hands. And they build little shelters that hold no one, set snares that catch nothing, carry babies that are really just bundled cloth. It looks like play. No one is teaching it. No one needs to. And here's the part nobody talks about. The hard, grim, ancient childhood. The one full of endless chores. Mostly just isn't real. In 2004, the anthropologists John Bach and Sarah Johnson studied foraging families in Botswana. They tracked exactly how the children spent their time. And they found something backwards. The more a family lived by hunting and gathering, the less its children actually worked. And the more they played, farming put children to work. Foraging left them free. So what did they actually hold in their hands? Not a carved toy from a shop. Something already lying by the fire, left over from a meal. Bones. The ankle bone of a sheep or a goat, called an astragalus. It is small, 4-sided, and almost square, which means you can throw it, and it lands a different way each time. And children scattered them, snatched them, tossed them, and caught them on the back of the hand. That game became jacks, and it became dice. The whole idea of rolling for a random number starts with the bone from last night's dinner. Dinner became the dice, and the bones know. At Maresha, an ancient town in southern Israel, archaeologists pulled more than 500 of these knuckle bones out of the ground, studied and published by the Israel Antiquities Authority in 2022. Some had been shaved flat, and some had been drilled and weighted with lead. The children, and the adults playing beside them, were just loading the dice to cheat the roll. People were rigging dice 2,300 years ago, and some of these bones were even carved with the names of gods. Because the same throw that settled a child's game was thought to carry a message from the heavens. To roll the bones was to play and to pray at once. So what happened when children wanted more than a bone in the dirt? So they made a ball. And here, the record gets loud. Long before football had a name, whole civilizations built stadiums. In the lowlands of what is now Mexico, archaeologists have found more than 1,300 ball courts. This is not an exaggeration. And the oldest, at a site called Paso de la Amada in Chiapas, was dated in 1995 to around 1,400 years before the Common Era. That is a permanent sports arena, built of earth, roughly 3,400 years old. And the balls were real, too, at El Manatí, a waterlogged site near the Gulf Coast of Mexico. Researchers recovered rubber balls left as offerings, some dating back roughly 3,600 years. This was not a game for a handful of princes. It ran through entire cultures for over 3,000 years. Played by the Olmec, the Maya, the Aztecs. Now, most matches were ordinary contests. A few, staged as ritual, ended with a losing captain put to death. And some scholars think the game could even stand in for war. Two towns settling a quarrel on the court instead of the battlefield. Sit with that before deciding which century counts as civilized. And it was not a gentle game. The ball was solid rubber, in its largest forms, heavy enough to break bone. And players struck it with hips, forearms, and thighs, almost never the hands. And the courts were long stone alleys with rings or carved markers set into sloping walls. A child would have learned it the way a child learns any sport, on the edge of the real thing, with a smaller ball and softer rules, copying the players they were not yet allowed to be. And some games were quieter. In the 1920s, the archaeologist Leonard Woolley was digging in the Royal Cemetery at Ur, in what is now Iraq, when he uncovered 5 game boards laid among the dead. They were beautiful, inlaid with shell and deep blue stone. For a long time, no one even knew how the game was actually played. Then a scholar named Irving Finkel at the British Museum found the rules scratched onto a clay tablet by a Babylonian scribe and brought a 4,600-year-old game back to life. 2 players, a race of 7 pieces each, across 20 squares. The path was set by 4 dice shaped like tiny pyramids. Children in Mesopotamia played it, and you could play it tonight. And here's where it stops being history and starts being you. Every one of those games was just a child rehearsing the world. The chase trained the hunt. The dice trained the nerve to gamble. The ball and the team trained a soft, slow animal to belong to a group and survive inside it. This was never a break from survival. This was the rehearsal. And the strangest part is that you never actually stopped. You just stopped calling it play. So, the next time you scroll to a game on your phone at the end of a long day, notice what your hands are doing. You are not wasting time. You are just answering something very old. The same circuit that made a forager's child chase, hide, build, and pretend is the one lighting up when you reach for the controller. The deck of cards. The ball still sitting out in the yard. For 200,000 years, play was the whole curriculum. Then it got fenced into a recess bell, a scoreboard, a glowing screen, and most of it quietly slipped away. But the oldest part of it never left, and you can see it in the child against the wall, in the bone, the board, the court worn smooth by bare feet, and you can feel it in yourself every time you decide, for no reason at all, to play. You carry them with you everywhere. You just stopped looking.